cake. But our time, you can only say you are an adult when you are 21 years. And even 18, you're still a child because you might be in the university by then.
21 under the same roof.
Supervision, a bit of everything, yes. You know. Because and so if we don't immediately start looking and checking some of these things, it will come to a time where we can no longer control our children, and we, the parents, are the ones who are going to suffer. Somebody said it's our ears that is going to be bitten off, because the children are going to bite our ears for not correcting them when they don't know anything. They are relying on us. So don't assume that, oh, I want to be cool or I have the money, so what's the problem? I am the one who bought the car for my child and all that. But ask yourself, you didn't have a car at that age, but look at where you are now. You were able to go through life with or without car. No matter where your faculty was, you were working. And you've been able to get to that level. So if you want your child to come out well, you have to really sit the child down, talk to the child, be their friend, and discuss some of these things with them as adults, not pushing it down their throat like I'm the father, so I say sit, you have to sit. But let them know the disadvantages of all these things and help the children to grow. Everybody wants a good future for their children. But if we don't lay good foundations, we will sit back and regret.
You can call us now and share some thoughts with us. 0322083596. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you have any advice for parents, you can give us a call now on 0322083596. Now, something that some parents forget about is the fact that we will not be around all the time. And you may be doing some of these things, giving them the comfort. They don't know about hardship and all that. When you're not around, stuff happens. But Erasmus, before I go to the phone, I want you to ponder over this. If a parent has started some of these things, giving the car, giving the money and all that, how can you say you're stopping it? How will the child even take it? I think I'll respond shortly. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dave.
Yes, sir. What's your name, sir?
My name is Richard. I'm calling from Achimota.
Richard, welcome. Let's hear you.
Yeah, you see, we have the right to do anything that we want to do as parents, but, not all those things are, right. Just as the Bible says, you see, we all went through certain aspects of life when we were growing up, and maybe today we are somewhere that we think that we can provide anything for our child. But there is a time for everything, and even God put a limit on everything that exists in this world. When He created Adam and Eve, He told them that they have access to everything except one tree. So there should be a limit to everything that we.
I hear you, Richard. Thank you very much. Piece of advice to all of us. Good afternoon. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Godfrey, calling from Pepper, the group.
Godfrey, let's hear you.
Yeah, your discussion is very, very nice. But my problem is, it's like you centered your main this on the rich. But where I teach, in fact, it is a typical village where parents cannot even provide 3 square meters for their children. And sometimes we need to get to know the causes of certain. Because where I teach, even the boys or the guys provide for the mother. So in such a situation, how can you discourage the mother from doing that? In fact, they will encourage their children to do that. So the cause, in fact, poverty is killing some people in the village. And that is also a point that is encouraging that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's speak to Bilal, who is also on the line right now. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, let's hear you.
I'm enjoying your program. But sometimes these days, we don't know which values parents raise their children with. Is it the Ghanaian values or the foreign values? Most of the issues have to do with the movies they watch on television. You see, some of them are rated 13, but the kind of stars they show in there is more than 13 to a Ghanaian child. But to the foreign and developed countries, it's okay for a 13-year-old to watch. So if that one too can be checked by parents, Because sometimes they take it from those who, and they try to put that into use. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Bilal. And Erastus, I think I can take my response from you now. If parents have already introduced these things to their kids, they are allowing these things, and listening to such a conversation, you think that, well, it's about time for me to pull the plugs and put certain right measures in place. How can they go about it?
Dialogue, conversation, communication. So start talking with him or her and make her understand why you're doing that. And you don't pull the plugs all of a sudden, all of it.
At once, kind of.
So withdraw them gradually and make them understand why you're doing that. It's all about understanding. When they do not understand you, and then all of a sudden you say, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that, then they might think you're wicked. But if you but take them through with you. The other time I told my small girl that there are people who have never tasted ice cream before. She said I was lying. I said, I'll take you to meet some of them. So each and every day she's asking me, when are we going to those who have never tasted ice cream before? And I intend taking her to some village to talk to the kids there and all that. Involve them. Talk to them. Let them be part of your life. They are your friends. So when you keep doing that and you make them part of the decision making, they understand you better. And so when you're pulling certain plugs, they bear with you. Sometimes they themselves will even recommend it.
Okay. Mrs. Krampa, I mean, we're wrapping up right now. What advice would you want to give to parents out there, especially parents who think that they struggled, they suffered when they were young? They think that, well, we happen to be in the year 2017 and we need to allow the kids a bit of freedom to have fun and all. What would you want to say to them?
I would tell parents that invest in the child's future. Instead of giving all the money, spending all the cash on them now, giving them huge sums of money so that they can do whatever they like. Invest the money so that in future when the child needs the money, by then you will not be able to give them that money they need. Then they can rely on whatever has been invested. If you have to give your child money, because of my background as a banker, I usually like talking about money issues. Sit down with them. How much is needed for the whole semester? What are you using the money for? Calculate if every day you are supposed to give the child 10 cedis and he's spending 1 month. You calculate how much is going to be. And let the child understand that this is money that is for you to use and use it wisely. And sometimes some of the children are even able to save that little money you've given them for something better. And it goes with everything. Whatever, like Erastus is saying, conversation is very, very important. As parents, we shouldn't always lord it over them, but we should discuss, dialogue, and let also understand where they are coming from. And don't let us leave them that, oh, I suffered, I don't want my children. No parents want their child to suffer. But if I read a book by Stormy Omashin which says we should allow the children to make their own mistakes and help them to correct them. By so doing, we make them matured enough to weather every storm that will come.
And Akosia, what would you want to also say finally before we wrap up here?
Yes, communication, as Mrs. Krampa and Erastus have said, most of the time that's the basis. You realize that we always end in that communication and dialogue, and we can see that that is. And in giving your child things doesn't mean that you are bad. You can give them, but as you're speaking to them, you know, they would even realize things. You can even say, no, mom, this is okay. Daddy, you don't have to give me this much. It's because you've brought them up in a certain way. You've exposed them to things of the world. You know, they are more mature in their thinking. So in speaking to them, they are bringing, you know, would become better. And they'll be better people that we wouldn't have to be there all the time. They would remember all your words in their subconscious, no matter the car they have or wherever they find themselves. Yeah.
I hear you. Thank you very much, Erastus Asari Donko. Thank you to you, Akesia Bewa, and of course to you, Mrs. Krampa. Well, you're a parent. You think that you have it all right now. You think that, well, because you have in excess, you ought to, spoil your child. Well, it's good to spoil your child sometimes, and with some particular things. But don't allow your child at age 16, 17 to say, well, I have a car, and I have a girlfriend, and mommy, I'm taking my girlfriend out, and you give that child money to go and spend. Well, somebody will say there's nothing wrong to that if you do that, but trust me, in the kind of world we live in, and the kind of society we live in, if we don't do certain things right, it comes back to haunt us. And that's why we're having this very conversation. If it's something you're doing, and based on this conversation, you think you have to stop, like Erasmus said, dialogue with them. Don't pull the plug all of a sudden at once. Dialogue with them and do it gradually. Let them see sense in what you think you're doing for their own future. Because if you're not too careful, and we allow things the way they are right now to go on, I'm scared for this country the next 5, 10, or even 15 years.
We have to stop.
We have to stop.
The Western world is going back. So why are we following what they are leaving behind?
The messages that came on this
I don't get it.
Well, Delali says here, he has sports for you, after which drive time with DJ Ribbing, and of course Kofi Diakwa will come up your way. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, David.
And this referee who officiated a Hasselhoff Kotoko game is not going to go away, huh?
No, we've got loads of news for Croatia. We'll hear from the communications director of the club, Obede Champo, and he reacts to a lot of stories that are surrounding the departure of the coach. He says that he is still the coach of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. No one is coming in, and so the supporters, the followers of the club should not be bothered in any way. These and many more coming up here on the show this afternoon. Don't forget, we also have something from the foreign world as well for you. Alright, so let's get started, and as I told you earlier, we'll stay with the subject of the FIFA ban of Ghana referee Joseph Lamte, and it is now becoming increasingly clear that a Ghanaian was banned for life because a betting syndicate is suspected to have influenced him to force the outcome for South Africa's World Cup qualifier against Senegal. FIFA will release the toxic details of why the referee was banned very soon, but on the BBC Sports Today show yesterday, it emerged that irregular betting patterns surrounding the match were discovered by the FIFA early warning system, which led to a deeper investigation before the controversial referee Lamte was fingered. This doesn't mean he was influenced by South African football officials, as these influences could come from third parties with interest in the outcome of the match for betting reasons.
But the fact that it's now subsequently come out in the FIFA statement today that this was part of match fixing, I think takes it up a notch, and it certainly comes as a surprise to most, I would say, including myself, who was at the game.
It's hard to remember the last time a referee would have been charged with fixing the outcome of an African World Cup qualifier or seeking to manipulate the outcome of a qualifier. Have we heard from Joseph Lamte, and do we expect to hear from him?
No, I very much doubt that. I mean, it's not uncommon. I mean, South Africa had a whole host of incidents just before they hosted the World Cup in 2010. In fact, 4 or 5 of the friendly matches that South Africa played in the 6 or 8 weeks immediately before the tournament was subsequently found by a FIFA investigation to have all been manipulated. That was done without the knowledge of the players themselves. It was fixed between the referee and the betting syndicate from Singapore, taking advantage of some naivety on the part of the South African Football Association, as the FIFA reports described later on. But, you know, this just adds to a rather dark cloud that I think is circled around South Africa and its reputation subsequent to its hosting of the 2010 World Cup. So, you know, it certainly is a big worry, I think, for the image of the game in this country.
Now, meanwhile, there are strong signals FIFA could call for a replay of the match, which South Africa won by 2-1.
I think that's a very good question, and I think one that both the Senegalese and the South Africans will want answered. I mean, it was a big victory for South Africa. It was not merited at all. They were certainly the poorer of the two teams. It's given them the advantage in the World Cup qualifying group, but I think now that it has been clearly stated by FIFA that this match was manipulated, I wouldn't be surprised if they do call for it to be replayed, although, as you say, there's no precedent for it before, but there's certainly good cause for Senegal to want this game to be replayed.
Now, in a related development, former assistant coach of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, who is also a regular panel of Asempa Sports show in Accra, Isaac Anadio Pele Boateng, says referee Joseph Lamte deserves the life ban punishment handed him by FIFA.
I feel very sad for him that he might not get the opportunity to come back to prove to the world that he's a very good referee. But then he also brought up too much unnecessary controversies, especially drafts Mediema and Champions League game between Esperance and El Ali and going to South Africa. And he courted controversies. So sometimes you need such a live ban for him to know that he made a mistake.
So it serves him right?
Oh yeah, because people are putting in money, people have their emotions being like.
All right, so that's Isaac Opele batting there for you. Now, meanwhile, chairman of the Referees Association of Ghana, Joe Debra, has been speaking to Live Sports on this particular development. Joe Debra says the image of Ghana referees has been dented with a ban handed Lamte, who incidentally was the first referee for Sunday's match between Accra Hearts of Oak and Kumasi Asante Kotoko.
And even the referees in general, because it is not a good image. And everybody who hears this, who perceives Ghana referees in a different position. It is not the end of the world. Although at the moment the image of Ghana referees has been dented by this story, but we will not let this one discourage us, and we'll work towards it and make sure that at least we redeem our image. Because at the moment the name of Ghana referees is in the man. You see, before this incident, there were past referees who have officiated to the higher level. Talk of referee Dumont, talk of Justice Yabua, talk of Alex Cote, Wellington, and the rest. They have all done their best and gone.
Now, referee Joe Debra advised the young referees currently on the scene to take a cue from what has happened to Joseph Lamte to churn out outstanding performances when called to duty.
What has happened to Joseph Lamte can happen to everyone. So everybody must be alert, and when you are officiating a match, you must always be, as we have been saying, be 9.15 meters to where the ball is. So they shouldn't lose hope. This is not the end of the world. But they should also keep on training and be abreast of the laws of the game. Because nobody can make anybody a referee. You can be a FIFA referee today. But if you don't know the laws of the game and you are not physically fit, when you go, the field will decide. And everybody will know you. This is what I will call a wake-up call for all referees in Ghana. They must wake up and then try to revise their notes. Those who are not been reading their charts, they should take it like Bible and a pastor and be reading it every day.
All right, so away from one referee to another, and also communications manager of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Obede Champo, has condemned the verbal attacks and threats on the life of referee Sam Osuka by some supporters or some supporter leaders of the club. Now, the National Circle's chairman of Asante Kotoko yesterday issued a threat on the life of the center referee of Sunday's encounter on a sports show on Royal TV. Take a listen.
Kuna baso etina Ghana football egu so se de fo emo na baso ya na Ghana football egu sese na me ka cho ebe gu nso na me chemfo me ya Ghana football ade che na se be ka be cham se na se wa mo be che di ase na da bi asifie ka asem so se aka mo mo e ngwa se de fo emo na baso emo na baso emo na baso ge na se e kwa ebe ku no yo no me say o cha no pa me ba no German
but o time. All right, so this show was on Royal TV yesterday, hosted by Samtano Champo. But in the end, Chairman K5 was impressed upon to withdraw his statement, which he did. But I still feel that it was in very, very bad taste. Now, Obede Champo, the club's communications manager, has called for calm, saying all grievances should be channeled through the appropriate quarters.
So first of all, we've had some unofficial meetings with some leaders of the club, and our position was straightforward. We believe in formal rights, and we believe in authority. Taking an action against the referee, such as trying to beat him up and all those activities, we see them as not so proper. So we had a chat with them, and they assured us that they were going to respond to what happened on the field in writing, rather than attacking the referee or planning anything bad against the referee. So we've gotten that assurance from them, and we believe that is not going to happen. We believe when someone goes wrong, two wrongs don't make a right. So definitely our supporters won't engage in anything that is not appropriate.
Now, meanwhile, Obede Champo also took time to explain to us why coach Zdravko Legarovic left for Croatia immediately after Sunday's encounter.
Well, the whole issue about Legarovic traveling back to Croatia is something that we all planned towards we are aware of it happening. All because before we signed a contract with him, both parties agreed that when the league goes on break and then there's ample time for him to travel and see his family, he's going to make that trip. Supposed to make that trip twice within the season, or one in, one after. So before we went to Accra to play against Autofos, both parties agreed that after the match, the coach will not be part of the team while they are traveling back to Kumasi. So we did all the arrangements, ticketing and everything, he traveling out and even coming back, to the extent that we even had to extend his visa locally. So we were a bit surprised people are reading so much meaning into it. He's going to come back next week. And because it was planned, he had a meeting with the technical team and he have a schedule which the technical team is going to follow in his absence. So things are going to run smoothly, and roughly by next week, early next week, possibly Monday, he'll be back in the country.
It's still Sports Flash here on Drive Time on Love 99.5 FM. In other stories, ex-Asante Kotoko Chief Executive Officer Herbert Mensah has been linked with House of Folks' vacant top post. According to local media reports, the majority shareholder of the club, Toby Apede, has contacted the current president of the Ghana Rugby Association to fill in the vacuum created by the absence of Vincent So Odote. The club's managing director job became vacant after Odote, who is a member of parliament for the La Dade Kotopon constituency, quit his post after he was nominated as Deputy Minister Designate for Communications. Now, elsewhere, former Brazil and Real Madrid star Roberto Carlos is one of several coaches who have tendered in the application for the vacant Ghana coaching job following the departure of Avram Grant. According to reports, Carlos, who is 43, is one of the 91 foreign coaches who are reported to have applied for the Ghana job. The former Real Madrid and Brazil left-back started his coaching career at Russian side Anzi Makashkala after announcing his retirement 5 years ago. Now, meanwhile, despite numerous calls for a local coach to be appointed as the head coach of the Black Stars, only 4 local coaches had tendered in the application for the job, according to reports. Now, former Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah is one of them, and the others include Ash Gold's coach Bashir Hifford, AFCON winner and former Kotoko coach Abdul Razak, and former national player Kukudazi were the only local coaches who applied for the job. In a related development, Ghana Football Association Vice President George Afriyie has revealed a new Black Stars coach will be announced latest by April. The Ghana FA are in the hunt for Avram Grant's successor, with over 91 coaches having applied for the top job. The 6-man committee tasked with finding the new man will announce a shortlist of coaches latest next week before scheduling a rigorous interview session where it will narrow down to 2. Then finally, one will be picked out of the lot to formally be adored as the new coach for the senior national team, the Black Stars.
The assist from the penalty kick recalls the great days of Johan Cruyff.
Now to the international front, and Bastian Schweinsteiger has completed a move from Manchester United to Chicago Fire. An agreement was struck on Monday night, although the player is yet to complete a medical and receive a visa. United were reluctant to lose Schweinsteiger, who had come in from the cold, but that move may not have happened had the midfielder remained in England until the end of the season. In a statement on the Manchester United website, Schweinsteiger added, "I'm sad to leave so many friends at Manchester United, but I'm grateful to the club for allowing me the chance to take up the challenge at Chicago Fire." And finally, Barcelona are eyeing up a move for either Paulo Dybala or Antoine Griezmann as they look to add competition to their forward line. According to Spanish newspaper Mundo Deportivo, Barca want to sign another player to join their feared attacking options in Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez and Neymar. And with Dybala seen as likely to leave Juventus, the Argentine has been identified as a potential addition at the company. So that's about it for sports here today. But coming up on Drive Talk this afternoon, later on the show, the question they're asking is, a very close relative or pal returns from abroad and intends to marry somebody you judge has bad morals which could put your man or woman in a disadvantage. Will you caution and advise them to quit, or leave them to experience and advise themselves? Well, I'll take the latter. I'll leave them to experience and advise themselves, because Master, you never know. You go and report, and this guy or this lady will go and tell his lover or the one he's in love with that, look, this is what my brother or my friend is saying about you, and it will create confusion between you and that person. So look, leave them. Even people can change, and so you can even take it that the guy or the girl will change later. But you have to wish them the best in their marriage. All right. Okay. So we are back, God willing, same time tomorrow with more on sports.
Love 99.5 FM. Back up your files in the office, turn off the computers, and step into a fun-filled drive with Ruben. Never question